How you doing? Minister Lamor Whitehead here with Robert Carnegie, elected official. Yes, he's tall. Tall in stature, tall in spirit, very good man. We're here at Eric Adams' Feed the Senior Citizens, and he's supporting. We was having a discussion about Leaders of Tomorrow, our mentoring program, and I would like to let him have a few words about our youth. And my question to you is the state of mind that our youth is in right now, which is unacceptable. What can we do to better our youth?
Well, I think first of all, we got to have an understanding that we have to, number one, as now I'm growing up to be elder. As an elder in our community, we got to realize what responsibility we have and what role we played in it, right? Because when I talk to young people, I'm acutely aware that some of the situation they're in was crafted by the people that went before them. Right. So some of it they're not responsible for.
Right.
And so I gotta look at myself and my peers and say, yo, what did we do, and are we leaving them in a better position? So that's number one. Number two, I think that young people have to realize that the elected officials, like you talked to Walter before me, we didn't parachute into these communities. We grew up here.
Right.
So I think we need to share our experiences, our trials and tribulations to get where we are.
Hey, Councilmember.
Hey, how you doing, public advocate? We have to talk about the connection to our young people, and that the reality is a lot of us came up in very similar circumstances. Right? And because of either good parenting, education, and for me it was sports.
Right.
Like without sports, you know, when I see my young people and they're going in the wrong direction, I'm like, yo, the first thing I say to myself is there, but for the grace of God, go out. And that's real talk.
Right.
Because I had sports, because I wanted to play basketball, I had to get good grades and I had to go to school. But if it wasn't for that, and if that wasn't the carrot that was dangled in front of me, I don't really know what my life would have turned out to be.
Right.
So providing young people with mentorship, which is tremendous, but programming. When I grew up, we had PAL, we had, you had after-school programs. You had a lot of things that were able to occupy the minds and the time of our young people. We got to make sure as leaders and as elected officials, we put the resources back so those things are available, right? Because there's no real conversation if, I remember the past president's first lady had this saying, just say no to drugs, right? Just say no without something to say yes to is futile. So telling kids, yo, you shouldn't join gangs or you shouldn't be, I'm a member of a fraternity. At one time, I have a son who's a teenager, and he said to me, Dad, you in a gang. I said, why would you say that? He said, because you wear colors, you speak in a language that I can't understand, you have a special handshake for just you and your friends. That's a gang. And I had to go back and talk to myself and go, oh shoot, that is. And why would I be in an organization like that? Because I want to be around men with like-minded, that are like-minded from me.
Right.
So I understand our young people and the plight that they're in. You want to be around people that have similar ideals and values, right? You want to be a part of a network of people. So we have to understand where young people are, and I think Walter said it. You got to meet our young people where they are.
Right.
So that means that our young people might not come to church.
Right.
I ain't gonna get a parade of young people into my council office.
Right.
So I spend a lot of time in the developments. Because of that, I spend a lot of time, on Tompkins or on Rossi or on Fulton. I spend time talking to our young people, right? And the best thing I can possibly do is to live what I say, right? So I think we have to really be conscious that we're always being watched and viewed as people who are in leadership.
Okay. Well, what can we do together as a mentoring movement with elected officials? How can you help us help our kids?
I think that's a valuable question. I think the best way to do that is for us to partner and for us to dialogue. When I was a young person in school, the most horrific day in school was the day I saw my father and my teacher having a conversation. They wasn't even talking about me, they was talking about the Knicks or something. I realized that I could no longer operate in the gap because I would come home and tell my father that my teacher was terrible or whatever, and I would tell my teacher that my father ain't doing right. But once they got together and had a conversation, and people saw that, so we got to do that. Our young people got to see me and you having a conversation.
Right.
They got to know that we're on the same accord, so they can't run between the two. So they can't run between you as somebody who's more connected and more grounded to the hip-hop movement and to the community and say, oh, our elected officials is trash. Because you will have a conversation with me. You say, nah, I know that dude. You need to go by his office and talk to him. And then I can't have kids that are on a trajectory to go to college and who aren't involved in the hip hop movement say, oh, you know, everybody involved in hip hop is trash. I say, no, I know some young people doing it, you know what I mean? So we got to really tighten the network by, as adults, having solid relationships. They model our relationships.
Right.
So my relationship, if your relationship to me is, I don't really mess with that dude because you know, he on that politics. Then a kid is going to then ultimately model that.
Right.
And if I say to you, listen, I don't mess with them preachers because they got, you know, they doing this, that, and the third, then a kid is going to model that. But I got to say, I know good men in every aspect of life, because I do. I know some really good pastors, I know some really good elected officials, I know some good teachers, firefighters, doctors. We just got to come together. And a lot of times, what men try to do is hit a home run.
Right.
We got to try to get on base.
Right.
With our young people.
Right.
Getting on base means just saying hello and good morning.
Right.
Before you tell a kid to pull his pants up, how about just saying good morning?
Right.
So when I put my garbage out, I see a young person walk by, I say, hey, how you doing? If you don't speak, I'm not offended, because I know I'm going to catch them again.
Right.
You catching people off guard on their first time to speak, they might not speak. But the next time, the young man is looking for me to speak, and they'll speak to me. So it's those small engagements that will build a tradition between our adults and our young people that's going to foster something really special, I believe.
So, last question. How do you feel about bringing the hip-hop community into the community, not for what they're saying on their music, but to attest to the struggle that they've been through? And I know a lot of hip-hop artists, you know, they like what they do, but then again, they don't like what they do. So because they're telling their story. I truly believe in my heart that they do not want young kids to do what they say because it's a story. And like I spoke to, when I spoke at my church event, I said, listen, the church have a testimony and the hip hop community have a testimony. So therefore, you have to understand it's still a testimony. And it's a process that they had to go through to get to where they have to go. You know, and how do you feel about bringing in and opening the doors for the hip hop community to come into our community and do shows and different things like that, because I know that there's a lot of funds and different things allocated for our youth. So can it be a system, or can it be some type of application where those funds can be allocated for having a concert for these young kids and having, let's say, for example, like the reality show, the reality TV, right? You know, I have an issue with it at times, but it's their testimony, they're telling a story, and there's a lot of young women that follow it. There's a lot of young men that follow it. So, how about us having some type of dialogue or conversation with the same young ladies that's on TV, dialoguing with our young people, and just having a conversation?
It has to happen. It has to happen. One, you gotta bring hip hop back to the community, because right now they have the ability to only see what they're being fed. They're not seeing both sides of the story. So if you're hearing somebody's music but you don't know their testimony, then you're going to be more apt to follow what the music is. They got to come back. You got to come back and talk to our young people. And I'm willing to facilitate that any way I can. And shows, concerts, you know, not only children, but adults have gotten caught up in this reality phenomenon. So reality got to come back, right? Because the saddest thing I'm viewing in our communities is the fact that we're allowing the abnormal to become normal.
Amen.
Right. So that's part of the reality situation. They're pushing the envelope because they want to tell you that that's the norm. That's the norm, and it's not. It's abnormal. So you need somebody to come back and say, you know, I wrote a script, and my script was about a story about but you know, I come from Marcy. And I went to school, and I had to go to school, and you know, you need that part of the story. Without that, which is the way that people have been able to function for so long, without our young people hearing both sides of the story, it's not a true story. So I agree with you 100%. Reality TV's got to come back. Those stars that are in reality got to come back to their communities and have a real live dialogue. But it's got to be a slow dialogue, because the production companies and all of that are responsible, and they're going to want them to tell the full story, because it may turn off some people from watching it.
But see, the thing about it is they're going to tell their story. We don't care what they're doing. We want them to tell their story. And you know, I've been in the industry for a very long time, and what I'm trying to do is get the backing from guys like you, strong men like you, that understand the struggle. And if I can get the backing from all of my elected officials, and then I can go to these artists and say, listen, all the people that you guys have issues with, they're on our team. You know, and use Leaders of Tomorrow as the vehicle and the segue to merge the gap.
Well, I got to be honest with you, I'm a little different, because when it came to a lot of issues that people have faced around the way the hip-hop community is behaving, I've always stood in the background and said, wait a second, I'm not willing to throw my people under the bus so fast.
Right.
Because the answer can't be lock them all up.
Right.
So
Right.
even the sagging issue, I didn't sign on to the sagging issue, quite honestly.
Right.
Because I was like, that's just another mechanism to penalize and potentially incarcerate young people when really all they're doing is crying out for your support. So I can't not support them by saying, either I'm a force of law that causes young people to get a ticket if they pay. I can't do that.
Right.
So even we've got this new issue with the knockout game, and I understand that it's any assaults or violence on another human being I don't condone.
Unacceptable.
However, I got to go find out what's going on with my young people to have them behave in that manner.
Right. Understand.
Before I throw them under the bus.
Right.
So so we as elected officials find ourselves in a very difficult place because we're responsible for public safety. Right. So first and foremost, I got to stop knocking people out and assaulting people.
Right.
But I'm always thinking underlying that what brings a young person to the idea that there's some fun in hurting another individual, right? Because if I don't do that, I'm just going to keep on locking people up. And that's never the answer. That has not proved to be the answer.
And you said something very keen to what we're talking about. You said it's a fine line for you to be able to decide, because you're an elected official. You're the law. And this is where leaders of tomorrow come in, where that we can establish a relationship where that we can find out what's going on, okay, and set a table for you guys to see what's going on, because you're the law, and it's, like I said, it's a fine line to say, wow, man, this kid is really going through something. Let me be sympathetic or empathetic for this kid, but yet this kid might just be losing his mind, and I have to be the law.
Yeah, but we can't be. But see, the thing is, because I come from this very same community, I can't not be empathetic, even in the most harsh situations. Because I told you, there before the grace of God go out.
Right.
So somebody along the way, I promise you, said, hold up on that dude right there. Meaning me.
Me too.
Hold up.
Me too. Yeah.
Don't get him right there. Pull him to the side.
Right.
So somebody did that for me.
Right.
I don't even know who that person is.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I can't even point to the person, but I know it happened for me. So I'm compelled to do the exact same thing. So I can't rest in judgment. Assaults are assaults, and those are handled by the law. There's nothing I can do about that. However, when I find that situation arises, some of it's out of what I know is about the little streets a little bit, is that some of that has to do with some of that's gang related.
Right.
And some of that is people trying to become part of organizations and being given a task to do in order to do that. Right. I'm aware of that. Right. Maybe I can talk to that young person about his affiliation and how that affiliation leads him down the wrong path.
Right.
Or preventatively, I'd like to talk to those young people about an alternative to going down that path.
Understanding his mindset.
Right. Listen, the truth of the matter is, I can't fathom what it's like to be a 13, 14, 15-year-old in this environment.
Right now.
I cannot.
Right.
Even as a ball player.
Like
that's real talk.
And that's what we talked about. We have to listen to them because we can't truly understand what's going on. There's one, last but not least, there's one person I want you to meet. Aurora. Where's Lady at?
But I want to tell you a true story though. I spend a lot of times unofficially mentoring young people. So I don't have a mentoring program, but if I see somebody that I know, I'm going to say, hey, how you doing, what's going on? So one day, some young men on Tompkins, and I've seen them regularly going to play ball down at the park. So I pulled him to the side, I said, yo, you going to school, you doing? And I was talking to him, and we got into it a little bit, and one of them said, listen, man, you seem like a good dude. But if the police roll up right now and tell us all to get on the ground, that means you too. And there's nothing you can do to stop that.
Right.
Now, I was acutely aware that if I get on the ground, I got a recourse after that, but I'm going to have to get on the ground.
Right.
But, you know what I'm saying, I'm going to the precinct, it's going to be hella pay.
Right.
They don't have that recourse.
Right.
When I was growing up, there was an old man who ran a drugstore. When the police ran up on some kids, would come outside and say, ho, I know them kids. They're pain in the neck, but leave them alone, don't bother them.
Right.
These kids feel so unprotected right now.
Right.
So they can't even rely on me in a situation to really intercede for them.
Right.
So I can't, the reason I'm saying that is I can't imagine what it's like to be in an environment where you're not protected nowhere. You're not protected from the gangs, you're not protected from the police. So you're in an environment where you straight pray all day. And I'm telling you to pull your pants up. Like that don't even really you got bigger fish to fry than pulling up your daggone pants.
See, it's funny that you said that about your story as far as you speaking with them, the kids on Tompkins. And if they said, listen, you have to get down, you all got to get down. My father, Arthur Miller, I know you know him, he was brutally killed by the police, and he set the wave for a lot of elected officials, Al Sharpton, Charles Barron, to do what they do now. And at the course of my father's life, it opened a lot of doors. I say that to say that it hurts me every day to know that my father was choked to death for racial intentions by officers. And as I was growing up, I was afraid of police because of the power that they had and the color of my skin. It just didn't match, you know. And our black men are free, you know. And when you back, we're not animals, but just to use an animal as example, when you back a dog, put his back on the wall, he's gonna bite.
Absolutely.
You know, and I tell you this, there's a lot of black men that just afraid what the justice system does to us, what the officers, because when the district attorneys and the judges, they have power. But before that, the police manipulates the power that they have to get us in front of the justice system. And a lot of us know the system, so we're afraid.
Absolutely.
You know,
it hasn't worked in our favor.
Exactly, at all. You know, and we're always a stepping stone, you know. So it's been great, you know, conversating with you. And you know, I look forward to sitting with you. Like, you know what I'm saying? This was good for us to get some insight about each other, and get it on film. But you're gonna find, as it relates to me, is I'm the same way all day, every day. You ain't gonna find me at a different way. I'm the same way every day, all the day. I'm excited to know that there's organizations like yours that are there for me to utilize, and vice versa. So we've got to. I'm gonna bring it back to how we started this. We've got to reestablish the partnerships that didn't allow young people to fall through the cracks, right? Because now we have organizations that are set up that are very self-serving. So they say they're mentoring programs, but there's very few that are serious like yours that are going to say, listen, I'm going to take it to the streets, I'm going to do everything that's necessary. Some of them exist just for their ability, like they got this thing called nonprofit pimps. So they get all of the money from nonprofits, really, you know, line their code. So everybody don't have the right agenda. I was just speaking to Eric Adams. We had a meeting yesterday, and I said, Eric, what's happening is today that we have people with knowledge and understanding how to obtain these grants and how to obtain and be a non-for-profit. But they don't have the heart for it.
Absolutely.
They don't have the love for it, and they don't have the passion and the integrity to take care of our youth. I said, I grew up in Brooklyn, I live Brooklyn. I said, likewise yourself. And I said, we struggle. So therefore, once this is put in the right hands and a proper perspective, then therefore we will be able to move forward into the endeavors that we need to move forward with, you know. So that's pretty much where we're going.
Listen, whenever you need me, I'm going to send you my email.
Yes.
And my office is going to be in Restoration. You know what I'm saying? I always have had an open door policy. Right now, my office is on Tompkins between Hancock and Jefferson.
Well, I'll get your information and I'll definitely come meet you.
Yeah.
Good to meet you, man.
Nice to talk to you.
Yes. And also, last but not least, my sister, we have a hair salon, beauty salon on Atlantic Avenue in Washington. And what we want to do is open it up to the community. We've been there for a while. We want to open it up to the community so that our young women, it's not expensive. It's not expensive, but what we're trying to do, we're going to have cosmetology classes. We're going to have.
I also want to put you involved with a program. There's a program called Age Friendly New York. And Age Friendly New York offers businesses that commit to being age friendly, meaning one day a week you have a discounted rate for seniors. They'll do a tremendous. The city will do a tremendous amount of marketing on your behalf. So that marketing budget that most people don't have, if they're small businesses, they will help you with a marketing budget of your business if you commit to being age friendly. And so some of the age friendly salons that we have, one of them just does on Tuesdays, which is a slow day for them anyway, does a discount to seniors to come and get their hair done. Another one has private booths in their salon, and they allow seniors who may have alopecia or may have some disease who don't really want to be in front of everybody else while they get their hair done, they'll allow them to come. So there are programs available, just sometimes we don't know about. That's one that you could immediately benefit from.
And this is why we have these discussions so we can tap in. A lot of the community don't know about these different grants and different.
So that age-friendly initiative, it doesn't cost the city any money because they're doing advertising anyway. They just include you in it. But it allows you to expand and build capacity within your business. Because most small businesses, how you doing the marketing portion of their budget, right? That don't even exist in a business plan for a small business. This is one way that you can supplement that.
Okay, so we have a holiday event on December the 20th at Pleasant Grove, starting at 6 o'clock. You'll be there?
Yes, who's your pastor?
Bishop Albert Jameson.
I know Bishop Jameson.